Okay, I guess I can start. Hey guys, I'm really glad that you decided to join me today. My name is Paulina and I'm Flutter Google developer expert, and today we're gonna create a Flutter app from scratch. If you could just let me know if you can hear me and see me good on the chat, that would be great. I have some delay between my video and your responses, so might get a while for me to adjust to this. But anyway, I'm reading this comment, so yeah, just let me know. Cool. So we will start with slides first. Yeah, so as I said previously, my name is Paulina Szklarska. Sorry for that. Okay. My name is Paulina Szklarska. I'm Flutter Google developer expert. And I'm originally from Poland. Now currently I live in Australia. And today, so before we begin, before I actually will tell you something about the agenda for today, for those people who didn't set up Flutter yet, you might still do it now. It's the last time that you can do, like really the last time. So before we begin, and if you really like to code with me, firstly you need to set up Flutter SDK, your IDE, either IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code, your Android device, and there's a dot there. So we're gonna use for this workshops Android device mostly because of the implementation for push notifications. So the integration needs to be done through Apple Developers Program, which I currently don't have. So in order for you to be able to receive and send push notifications on iOS device, you need to do it first. So for those workshops, the best would be just to use Android device. If you don't have the physical device, you can still download the emulator. That should work on your machine too. And the last thing is to fork and clone repository. Link to the repository should be in the description under the movie. And yeah, and that's it. Thanks to this, you will be able to start with me. Cool. So how the agenda looks for today. So what you need to know is that these workshops are split into 3 parts. In first part, we're gonna, firstly I'm gonna say why Flutter. And next I'm gonna describe you the app that we're gonna do. Then there's the workshops part that will be split to 3 YouTube videos. And there's the surprise at the end of this movie. So if you're curious what it is, just stay with me for the next 90 minutes. Cool. Agenda for the workshops looks like this. Today, we're gonna create project and build UI. Next, we're gonna learn how to use plugins. We also make a Firebase integration to use Cloud Firestore database. And in the future part, we're gonna also implement push notifications, some networking layer for making HTTP requests, and integrating media for playing sounds, and also testing some unit and UI testing, because it's also important in our app. Cool. So why Flutter? I'm also curious about your Flutter experience. So if you're okay with writing this on the chat window, where is your current Flutter level? That would be very helpful for me. Why Flutter? So Flutter is basically a UI toolkit created by Google for designing and creating mobile applications. And previously, as I mentioned, it was for mobile applications, but now Flutter also allows us to create web and desktop applications, and everything is created through a single code base. So you only need to write it once and you can run it almost everywhere, on the mobile, web and desktop. And why Flutter? There are a few reasons. One of them is that Flutter is simply beautiful, So when you're creating mobile applications, you might, for example, you might want to have UI that is very custom, For example, there is the Reflectly app, and this app was created using Flutter only. So as you can see, there's the UI is very custom, that you don't see any native controllers there. So thanks to the Flutter and the way that you create UI in Flutter, and you will see this later, you are able to create this highly customizable widgets. Also in Flutter, you are able to use a lot of the animations, and Flutter is highly optimized for this. For example, this is the History of Everything app that is created by 2 dimensions. Now this company is called Rife. And thanks to this company, they created the tool that allows you to work on animations and integrate them seamlessly into Flutter application. And the third thing is that, of course, you can use a lot of the widgets that look exactly like the native application widgets. Yeah, so for Android, the developers usually use material design components. And here's the example of Flutter Gallery app, and you can see, those material design components like floating action buttons, like card views, etc. So Flutter allows you to not only use custom design, but you can also use widget catalog with native UI controllers. Yeah, so as I mentioned, you have full range of the material design components, but Flutter is not only for Android, Flutter is also for iOS. And you also have full set of Cupertino widgets for iOS. Cool. The next cool thing, and I think most of you probably decided to try Flutter because of that, is that Flutter is cross-platform. What does it mean? So imagine that you're having your application, and at some point you need to implement some feature. And usually when you're writing application using some kind of native solution, yeah, so you're, for example, writing Android application using Kotlin, iOS application using Swift, for example. So when it comes to adding some new feature, you need to do some things twice, yeah? So if you have, let's say, some kind of Jira board or some project management tool, you need to create 2 tasks for the same feature, 2 tasks for both Android and iOS. Your developer team, or you as a developer, you need to implement this twice, both on Android and iOS side. And also you need to test this on a lot of the different devices. And it may cause a lot of the troubles, yeah? One thing is that you need to spend time to do actually the same thing, but twice. Someone needs to write this. Of course, there might be some bugs because someone just misunderstood the feature, yeah? A lot of the different things can happen in between. So you're actually wasting your time and money on a thing that can be done only once. And that's what it happens with Flutter. So with Flutter, you're using a single code base. So you're just writing your code once, and you can run this code on any mobile device using Android or iOS system. So from this single code base, there are created 2 different applications, APK for the Android and API for iOS, that you can run on your mobile device. Also, Flutter supports, it's not in a stable version now, but might be any day soon, the desktop for the desktop applications, as you can see on the right, and web applications, creating web applications from the same code base. Cool. The third thing is Flutter is easy to learn. So you have a lot of the resources that you can use, like code labs, like tutorials, blog posts. Some of them are linked in the description and also here. And Flutter has very specific way of building UI that you will later see. And because everything is a widget, it's very easy to compose and build single parts of the UI. So if you don't have any experience in Flutter, or you would like to try something else after those workshops, you may choose one of the existing code labs. They will just guide you step by step through creating different applications. The fourth reason. So Flutter has a really great community, and might be a reason why you're here also. Maybe you come from this great community already. So we have a lot of the Flutter meetups, groups, a lot of the YouTube content, a lot of the Slack groups. So if you ever feel like you're stuck with something in Flutter, it's just very easy to get some help. I believe it's very helpful, especially at the beginning when you sometimes, when you're just not sure how to start or how to do something. You're free to post your questions anyway, and the community is really cool. There are also a lot of the Twitter accounts that you can follow, so you're always up to date. And this great community is not only about answering your questions, it's also about making great content to be used in Flutter. So Flutter has a wide range of the packages that you can use. These are just libraries, that so you don't have to write everything on your own. And those libraries, they provide support for almost everything, like from the basic things for the preferences, databases, networking, through some kind of permissions, notifications, etc. So a lot of the things. And and the fifth thing is Flutter is just fun. And I hope you will see this today. Okay, cool. So the second part of this presentation today is about the actual workshops. So as I mentioned in the description, we're gonna make an app worth millions. And I'm saying literally, because there's a specific app that was released in 2014. And according to Wikipedia, this app was valued between $5 and $10 million in July and received another funding. And has a lot of the downloads, etc. It's very, there was a big boom for this app back in 2014. And the only feature of this app was playing Yo sound on push notification. So you might know this app. It's called just Yo. And it's the only feature of this app was that you can just send someone else a push notification, and when this person receives this push notification, this person would play, the device of this person would play Yo sound. So we're gonna just do this application through those 3 workshops. Okay, cool. Yeah, as I mentioned today, we're gonna cover those 2.5 probably points. We're gonna start first with creating project and building UI. So on the right, you can see how the application should look like after this step, pretty much. And if you're ready to go, just open your oh, cool. Yes, we can hear you. I'm just gonna quickly check chat. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. So, if you're ready, switch to your IDE. I'm using IntelliJ IDEA, but feel free to use any supported. It can be Android Studio, it can be Visual Studio Code, any of those. So the first step that you need to do is actually, I linked in the description, there is a repository that we're going to start off. So on this repository, if you will enter on the master branch, it's pretty much the same as you would start with the project from scratch. But I can show you the steps if you would like to create something on your own later. So if you would like to create project, you just need to tap on New Project, select Flutter, and type your project name, directory, etc. You can choose Kotlin Swift by default. And after you will tap Finish, the project is created. But we are not going to do this now, because there are some things already in this project that I'm going to show you later that are additional to the project from scratch. Okay, cool. So we landed in the main.dart file. that is the file that we're gonna use today the most. You can just scroll through this file. By default, there is a counter app example. We can just run this app to see what is the output. To run the app, you need to choose either your simulator, emulator, device, and tap on Run. You will also see, if I'm going to use any shortcut, you will also see the name of the shortcut and how to run the shortcut as this green box. Okay, cool. I got an emulator on a different window, so I need to switch quickly to this. I have its camera, not this one. Okay, cool. Now you should see emulator. So yeah, this is the counter app that you can test. You can play with this a little bit. I can just tap multiple times there. I can go back to IntelliJ, change something. For example, let's change color to green. I can run hot reload, which is command slash or option or alt slash on Windows, I'm not sure. On Mac it's command slash for IntelliJ. And you see this changes immediately, probably on your device. On my machine I need to switch between windows, so it takes a while. But yeah, you can see that the color has been changed, and also the cool thing is that the thing that we previously had here, this counter value, it's still the same, yeah? So you can see that the 4 has remained even if we reloaded the app. Okay, cool. So that's the main.dart file. But we also have a lot of the different files there. If you will open the project file structure, you will see that, for example, we have lib folder. This is the folder where you will put all of the files for your development. Yeah, so any Dart files should be inside lib folder. This is where main.dart is. If you would like to, for example, change some code for the Android or iOS application, you can do it. Inside Android folder, there is an Android app. If you're an Android developer, you might be familiar with this structure already. It's just basically an Android app that works like a wrapper for this Flutter application. So any time you would like to use your own code for Android in Flutter application, you should put this code inside here. I'm going to talk about this later when it comes to plugins. And the same thing is for iOS. This is just an iOS application, and yeah, you can just use it to insert some iOS code inside Flutter project. Another thing that is worth looking at is pubspec.yaml file. This is the file that works like settings for our project. You can scroll through this to see that the most of the content is its comments. Here we have name, description, version. We're not going to change this today. What we're going to change today is the dependencies section. So later when we will add some new plugins, some packages, we're going to add them here. Yeah. So when there is some library that you would like to use, you just need to insert this here at the same level as Cupertino icons. We're going to do it later. There are also additional settings for using material design, or some if we would like to add some assets like fonts or images, we should do it also here in this file. Okay, cool. So that's it. We can just go back to main.dart file. Also, one thing worth mentioning, I think I can mention this now. On this repository that you should fork before, there are several branches. So I'm just gonna switch. Oh, cool. Okay. If at any point you will feel stuck, you can just, you're not following up with writing code. You can just quickly switch to another branch, and you will be one step ahead of us. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we will work on the code from step 1. So at the end of the step 1, we should have something very similar to what's already on step 1 branch. So yeah, if you feel lost, just check out on the step 1. Okay, cool. So as I mentioned on the presentation, the first thing that we want to do is to create a UI for this list. In general, the app, as I said, the app should work like this. So when you tap on the add button, it should have a dialog to enter your username. And when you enter this username, we will save your push notifications token into the database where all the users are stored, and these users will be then shown on the UI in your application. But before we will go into that, before we'll make this Firebase integration, firstly we're going to create a UI with just some dummy data. Yeah, so the list will not be taken from any database. We will just hard code this in the application. So we can just focus firstly on creating this very colorful UI. Okay, cool. We can go to main Dart. We can actually just delete this whole code because we are starting from scratch. I can change it from my app to just app. Okay, cool. So as you see, the first thing that you see is the main method. This is the entry point for your Flutter application. So if you would like to run your application, you need to use a very descriptive name, run app. Run app takes as a parameter, I can just highlight this, widget. What is widget? So what you need to do is that in Flutter, basically almost everything is a widget. Like literally any kind of UI component that you see is a widget, including single buttons, including some card views, even the whole lists. But also in Flutter, animations, paddings, even gestures, they are widgets. Yeah. So in Flutter, almost everything is a widget. And we have two types of widgets, stateless and stateful widgets. Stateless, as the name says, it doesn't have any state. So this is any kind of widget that in general doesn't change. Yeah? So it can be just a static text or a list with static names, yeah, or just anything that we don't want to change through the application. And stateful widget is the opposite, yeah. So it's anything that can change. Cool. To create the application, as I mentioned, we need to start by creating a widget. To create a widget, we can either use any of the shortcuts that you might have, or we can just do it from scratch. So in the IntelliJ, I have some kind of live template for creating stateless widgets. I need to just type STL, and it suggests me to create stateless widget. I'm gonna name it app. And voila, we have our first stateless widget. Stateless widget has only one method by default. It's build method. In this build method, we're just telling how our widget should look like. And to create an app, we need to start first with the material app. This is another kind of widget. And this is the widget that, according to the documentation, that I might, oh yeah, you might see this somehow. Yeah. This is the widget that creates Material App. Material App uses a material design team, and yeah, it just starts a new, basically a new application. Okay, cool. In this Material App, we need to create home. Home is basically a starting entry point of our app. You can think about this as a single page that you can have in your application. So for home, we're gonna use another widget. Yeah, you see the pattern already? Widget, widget, inside widget. Another widget called Scaffold. Scaffold is a widget that represents window. Yeah, so in this window you have usually some kind of up bar. Yeah, you have some body. You might have, for example, some floating action button or even drawer. Yeah, so this is this part. I hope you see a cursor. This is the whole window of the application. In our scenario, we don't need any up bar. We only need for now just the body, yeah, just this inside. So we're gonna create new body, and in this body, the first widget that we're gonna use is container. Container is the simplest widget ever. It's just a box. It's just a box that we can use to, for example, show another widget with child parameter. We can have, for example, some color for this widget, some decoration, yeah, like the shadows, etc. So it's just basically a box. And we're gonna change color for this widget, and we're gonna use one of the material design colors. So as you can see, and you can navigate inside of these colors, green. As you can see, in Flutter we have a lot of the already defined things, like colors. So I can use any kind of material design values. For example, yeah, like purple, some pink, yeah, a lot of the pink, etc. And all of those colors, as you can see, they're sorted according to the material design. So you can use either the primary color, or you can use any kind of the modificator. Yeah, but we're just gonna use green for now. Cool. With such a simple for now app, we might wanna run this to see the result. I will tap run, and voila, we have just a simple green box. How cool is that? Okay, I'm just gonna quickly check if there is anything on the chat. Okay, cool. Cool. We can continue. Yeah, so that's the first step that we did, yeah? So we already, where is this? Sorry. Cool. So we already have this green background, very cool. The next step to do is create a list view inside. So we're gonna use child parameter from the widget to create another widget. Exactly. Another widget would be called a list view, and we're gonna use builder constructor to construct this list. For now, I will just, yeah. I'll leave it like that. So for creating list, we also have another widget that's called list view, and this list view takes few parameters. It takes the most important item count, how many elements we'd like to have in the list, and even more important, item builder, so how specific elements should look like. But before we'll do that, we actually need some elements, right? So we're gonna just create a list of the some names that we're gonna put in this list. I can just take them from them. So there is Joe, let's say Kate, sorry. Yeah. Kate, my Diana, might be. Or Rachel and Tom. Cool names. Cool. So we have names list. Firstly, we're going to tell how many items do we have in the list. This is just basically the length of the list name. And the next thing is to tell how specific items should look like. Item builder has two parameters. Oh, I can actually work. Oh, yeah. At any point you can reformat code. It's done command option L for IntelliJ, so it looks just nicer. Cool. Item builder takes two parameters, context and position, and returns new, of course, widget. As a widget, we are gonna use additional container, and inside this container, as a child, we're gonna use another widget called text. So this container is just a single list item in our list. We're gonna have only text here. The first parameter for text is just the string for showing text. We're going to use the names with the index from the list. And okay, for now that's it. We can just run this. I run hot reload. Cool. It almost almost looked like it should. We're gonna just need to add a couple of tweaks for that. So the first thing we will change is to maybe change the style of this text so it's a little bit bigger. We're gonna change the style with the text style widget. To font size, let's say 32. We're gonna run hot reload. Let's see the result. Okay, looks a little better. Yeah, next we can center this. Yeah, so now the text is centered. We might want to change the background for this container. And we don't want to specify the exact color, so we're just going to take from the colors primaries. From the colors primaries list, we're just going to take some random values. And yeah, maximum length should be, my maximum index should be this primaries list length. So what we're doing here is just taking random colors from the primaries list. Okay, I'm gonna run this hot reload and see result. Cool. Okay, I'm just gonna check quickly. Chat. Okay. Cool. So we can go. Yeah, the next thing we can do here is to add a little bit padding around those texts, yeah, because they are quite tense now. To add padding, we should add this inside, actually outside text. So what I'm doing here is I'm using a shortcut to do this. I'm tapping Option Enter. I'm choosing Wrap with Widget, and yeah, I'm just gonna use padding. Padding has, of course, padding parameter, and we need to specify what kind of padding we want. We have a few options here. For example, all, to specify all of the top, left, right, bottom insets. We can specify only one of those. We can say symmetric. We're gonna do maybe symmetric now. So in horizontal, it probably doesn't matter. For vertical, let's make it so 8. I will just check. Yeah, looks okay. So we can just use all 8. Hot reloading. Cool. Yeah, and as you can see, whenever I hot reload, we got new colors there. Yeah, that happens because yeah, they're just generated randomly, and every time I tap on hot reload, this build method gets invoked once again, so the colors are generated once again. Cool. So we have our list. That's awesome. The first part is done. I can just go to slides. Cool. Oh, the last part we forgot. We need to make them all uppercases, yeah, and white. Okay, cool. To make them all uppercase, we're just gonna change the names here. We say everything uppercase. And to text, to change color, we need to change property color for the text style. Colors white. Now I'm gonna run hot reload and see result. Yeah, I might also run this bold. I think it's bold. It's, oh, we always forgot this one. It's probably style. Yeah. Font style. Oh, or not. Oh, maybe it's not font style. Okay, now I'm confused. Okay, never mind. Not bold is also cool. Yeah, so that's it. We finished the first step. If you feel lost during this, you might check out to the step 1 branch. That should be pretty much the same. Yeah, and that's it. Cool, I'm just gonna check. Chat. Oh yeah, font weight. Yeah, probably. Let me try this. Yeah, of course it's font weight. Thanks. Thanks for the suggestion. Cool, I'm gonna run this. Yeah, hooray, works. Cool, yeah, so now it's fully finished. The first step. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna run slides. Yeah, so we did this first part, building UI, the easiest one. And now it's time for some fun with Firebase. So, yeah, as I mentioned before, to integrate Firebase, we're gonna use package. What are packages and plugins? So they are basically libraries that you can use in your Flutter app. And some of those libraries, they use only Dart code, but some of them are using also Android and iOS code inside of them. How does it work? So in the Flutter, if you would like to run some feature from the, let's say, Android system, for example, Bluetooth, you cannot do this directly, because Flutter doesn't have an direct access to the Bluetooth or this kind of features, permissions, etc. That they are very system specific. So instead of just touching them directly, Flutter uses something called platform channels or method channels. These are just the channels from Flutter app to the native app. And some of the plugins that we're going to use, for example, this for Firebase, also uses this native Android and iOS code to make this integration. So when you would like to use some kind of package, the first thing that you need to do is to go to the pub.dev page. This is the website for all Flutter packages, and you can see what kind of packages are there. If you'd like to check some specific package, as in our case, we're gonna use Firestore. That would be the first one, for example. You can check out how to install this package. The most basic thing is, as I mentioned, you need to just copy the package name and the version and paste this inside your pubspec.yaml file. We need to do this, we can just remove those comments so it will be more clear. We need to do this under dependencies section. We are pasting this. And what is important here is the spacing that you have here. So this needs to be specifically 2 spaces. It cannot be tab or, it cannot be 4 spaces. It just needs to be 2 spaces. And the next thing to install this package is to run pubget. You can also run this command flutter pubget from your terminal. Cool. Package is installed. The second step that you need to do is sometimes there are additional things that you need to do on the Android and iOS side, as in this case. So here, because there is an integration with Android and iOS native code, we need to run a few things. All of those things are currently done for Android. So the first step, using the Firebase console, add Android project app to your project. I already did this because the intention for these workshops is to use the same shared database. So as you can see, I already have it here. The project is created. But normally, if you would like to do it on your own, you just need to create additional project, and you just need to tap Add App, choose iOS, Android, and follow the steps here. The second step is follow the assistant and download the generated Google Services JSON file. So it's also done here in this project that you might fork previously. If you will enter Android app folder, there is a Google Services. So this is the JSON, that's basically just the configuration for the Firebase project. Cool. The next step is also done in Android Build Gradle and Android App Build Gradle. We added Google Services plugin as described by the Firebase Assistant. The Firebase Assistant is this assistant that you run here. So you need to add few things to both build gradles. One build gradle is the build gradle inside app folder, and I needed to add actually I need to do it. Okay. It's not done. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna paste it in a moment. Cool. I think it's described in messaging that we're gonna use a little bit later for the push notifications. Yeah, but here you have, so the setup for all Firebase plugins is very, very similar, but for some reason they're described not fully in all of the packages. Cool. So to do this, to add this integration, at the bottom of Android app build Gradle file, we need to add this line. Yeah, done. And inside Android build Gradle, note that there is not there are two build Gradles separate. One is inside app folder, the other is not. Inside this one, we need to add this line. Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't need to sync this. When the app will be built first, it will sync everything. Cool. So this is pub spec, this is added. Cool. So in this part, I'm just gonna check quickly. Cool. Going to slides. Yeah, in this part, we're gonna integrate Cloud Firestore. This is the plugin for Firestore database. We're gonna integrate this to fetch the details that are already there in this database. I will show you the structure quickly. So this is the database, and inside this database I have a collection called users, and inside this users collection there are just documents with some fields like name, for example. Excuse me for a moment. Okay. I just need to set it first. Okay. Cool. We can just go to back to the project. So to do it, we need to change our code a little bit. Now we're not going to use names, but instead we're going to use values from the Firestore database. So this list view builder, we need to first wrap this in a widget that is called stream builder. Okay. And stream builder takes as a parameter the stream value. What is stream value? For now, yeah, we can just write string, but we're going to change it. I will describe this in a moment. So what is actually stream? Stream is something that happens in the future, but it's not a future, it's not a single value. It's rather a stream of values. Yeah. So what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to create a stream from the Firestore database, and whenever we will receive some values from the database, we're just going to pack them here in this list. So we will not have actually string. We need to create another class. We can just do it at the bottom of this. We're going to create new class called user to store the data. For now, it will be just the name, as we only have name. Later, it will be also token used for the push notifications. But for now, it's just name. I can run autocomplete to create constructor for this find of fields. And the syntax is like this. So this is the constructor that also tells that the name parameter should be assigned to value name. Cool. So we're going to use this user, and inside the list of string, we're going to have list of user. And now, child parameter is no longer available. We're going to use another parameter called builder. And this builder takes as a parameters context and something called snapshot. Yeah, I think it's also snapshot in the documentation. Let me just check it. Yeah, it's async snapshot. So it's snapshot of the data that we'll receive from the stream builder. Why it's snapshot of the data and not the data itself? Because this data might, for example, fail for some reason. Yeah, so you might not receive this data. You might receive error, and we need to check it firstly. So now in this builder, firstly we make a check. So if the snapshot, as you see, has data, has error, if the snapshot has some error, we're gonna return just text with error. Yeah, cool. Later, we know that the snapshot doesn't have any error, but the snapshot might not be available, the data snapshot might not be available yet. Yeah, so we need to check for if the connection state isn't maybe waiting. Yeah, as you can see, there's connection state down, waiting, active. If the connection state is waiting, it means that the data are still fetching, in progress of fetching. So we just show text loading. Yeah. And finally, if the data aren't with error and are not waiting, we just assume that they are ready, so we can show our list view. So I can just cut this, remove this one, oops, and paste this here. Cool. Also, we still have names, so I'm gonna just remove this for now so we can see where it occurs. it occurs in item count and here in this position. So here, instead of the names, I'm going to use snapshot data. This is, as you can see, list of the users. And here the same, instead of names, snapshot data. And now I cannot say to uppercase because it's user now. I need to say I want to have name to uppercase. Okay, cool. Yeah, and so we built this widget, but we actually never told how to get those data, yeah, to the stream builder. To do this, we need to use parameter stream. So stream is the source of the data for stream builder, and thanks to the source of the data, next builder can build proper widgets. Yeah, stream builder. Pretty descriptive. Okay. To create this stream, we're gonna create an additional class. So yeah, the one thing is that we will not have, you know, this huge file of 100 lines. And another thing is that we're gonna separate the responsibilities a little bit, and it will help us in the step when we will write tests for this code at the step 5 in 2 weeks. Cool. So I'm gonna create new Dart class. I'm gonna name it, let's say, Firebase client. Yeah, I can add this to Git. Cool. New class, Firebase client. Yeah. And in this class, the only method I'm gonna need for now is method that will return stream of list of user. It will be called just get users. Oh, sorry, typo. List of user. I need to import user because it's from the other file. Yeah, and we need to only fill this method. To do it, we're gonna use Firestore class from package called Firestore. As you can see in IntelliJ, we already have a suggestion where is this from what package, so we don't have to import this. Yeah, import is done automatically. So I'm gonna run new Firestore instance, so we can have a new Firestore class. Then I'm gonna tell from which collection I would like to gather this data. So I'm using collection, and the collection in our case was, let me just double check, it's called users, yeah? So I'm writing here, users. And from this collection, I want to just take a snapshot of all this data, yeah? Everything that is inside the collection users. Then I'm gonna map this snapshot because snapshots is currently a stream of query snapshot. And query snapshot is nothing that you can use for now. So we need to convert this so we will have list of users instead. Convert takes this query snapshot and it will return whatever we want. And now query snapshot is basically the snapshot of all the documents that are inside of this collection, but they are hidden in the documents. And documents, as you can see, this is another list of snapshots. So now basically each document is each user for us. So yeah, this is called document in Firestore. So when we take snapshots from the collection users, we are taking snapshots of this list. And now each document snapshot is a snapshot of this data. So we need to convert now this data, each document snapshot, into the user model. Yeah, so we're taking these documents and we're gonna map them once again, yeah? So each document snapshot, we're gonna change into actual user. Inside the user, we're gonna need a name, and this name can be taken from document snapshot. Sorry if you don't see that. And yeah, document snapshot is, if you will see the documentation, it contains data read from the document in your Firestore database, and the data can be extracted with the data property or by using subscript syntax to access specific file. We're gonna use this syntax, so we were gonna just write the name of the field that is. Oh, now it should be more visible. The name of the field that is inside the Firestore collection. Yeah. So from the document snapshots, we are taking this name and creating user with this name. Okay, cool. So this is this. And the last thing at the end of this map is to call to list. Because by default, when we map something, the result of the map is iterable. It's not the same as to list, it's the more generic interface for that. So we need to specifically tell that we'd like to have list. And I forgot to return this. Okay, and now we have some error. Yeah, value of type virtual is iterable user can be returned because it has stream of list of users. Okay. What is wrong there? Oh, okay. I think it has to be after map, this one. Okay. Yeah, sorry, put that wrong name. Yeah, so we need to put into list this map. Might be confusing. Okay, cool. So we created this util method for getting users. Now we can use it in the main.dart file. So inside the widget we can create a new client. And from this client we can call get users in stream for stream builder. Cool. That should be it. I'm gonna run this now and probably wait a little bit because it needs to I've run this, but I'm not sure if it should work now. Yeah, it doesn't work. So what I need to do is whenever you pack some new plugin that uses some native code, sometimes it's better to stop the current app and run it again, so the source can be just resync, and it might take a while because the new Android sources must be generated for this one. I'm gonna check comments in a minute. Cool, you're still there, that's cool. I'll check, I think it's still doing. I already saw, sorry for that, but there was a question about the build context, yeah, if I can explain the build context. The build context that you see, that you saw there, yeah, it's in every build method and in every, in some of the widgets. For example, yeah, for builder methods. So the context is generally tells where your widget is in the widget tree. So this context is needed sometimes for some widgets to for example, take the nearest widget. I don't know if it makes sense, but imagine that you are, for example, navigating. Yeah. So when you're navigating from one page to another, you need to specific also context, or from, let's say, from page to dialog. You need to pass the context. Based on this context, your widget knows where it's in the widget tree. So you can, for example, navigate back to the previous context. Context is also useful when it comes to material design widgets, because the material app, it holds the information about the theme. So if you would like to use some kind of material design widgets, they need to know what kind of theme use. So normally when you pass context to them, they know that they can take the material app. They can just find this in the tree and take the nearest material app widget. But if you will pass the context that doesn't have material app in this tree, then they will not know what kind of theme they can use. Yeah. So it's basically just for widgets to navigate in the widget tree and to find another widgets that they might need at some point. Okay, cool. It's already loaded, so we're gonna run emulator, and yeah, success. Yeah, so as you can see, in my database I had, I'm gonna show it once again. In my database I had few fields for hello, everyone, etc. And you can see them in the emulator. And I'm curious if anyone follows with me, and if anyone has the similar effect. Just write on the chat. I would try to read that. Yeah, it works. Awesome. I'm getting error. Yeah, as I said, if you feel stuck at some point, you can just check out to the branch that is ahead. So you can just check and diff what you got wrong. Yeah, if you're at this point and your app shows this list, then it's cool. You did the job right. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna just run slides. So we finished this step, Firebase integration with database. That is really cool. In the next step that we are not gonna do today, we'll do it in a week, but I can show you. Oh, sorry, I cannot show you. I can show you here. So in the next step, we're gonna integrate push notifications. So we're gonna add both sending and receiving push notification from your device. So the idea is that you can add your token to the database. Then anyone can read this token and can have an access to this token, so they can send you push notifications. We're gonna do it also using networking to send those push notifications. And the final step would be to play sounds whenever you receive push notification. So at the result, you should have a list full of people and their tokens to send notifications to them. And yeah, it will be just fun, to play with this a little bit. And the final step would be testing, because it's also important. Okay, cool. So yeah, we finished. I'm really glad that you guys stayed with me the whole time. There's just the one thing that I need to run. I will just double check if there are no questions from you guys. Okay, it's cool. So the last thing is that I have, as I said, I have a surprise for you. So there is a form that you can fill and you can pass me your feedback about these workshops. This was the first time ever that I was live, so it was very stressful for me. And you can also pass this feedback too as well, it's fine. But I would like to know what kind of content you would like to listen and what kind of topics you're interested in, and just what kind of form would be good for you and what do you think about those workshops. So from the people that will send the answers, there's a QR code and there will also be a link in the description. From those people we will choose, together with GDG Sydney, we will choose 3 people and we will give free cards for $25 to use on, I would need to double check that, but probably for the most of the things. And it's in Australia only. Okay, so yeah, cool, that's it. Thank you very much. If you got any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. You can just put them in the comment section. And yeah, that's it. See you next week. Cool, thanks, bye bye.